The moment Jordan Hale grabbed my face and kissed me right in the middle of our Sociology 301 presentation, the entire lecture hall went dead silent. Phones came out. Gasps rippled through the rows. I shoved him away, my heart hammering so hard I thought it would crack my ribs, but the damage was already done. In one reckless second, the annoying desk mate I had spent the whole semester complaining about had dragged my hidden truth into the light, and my carefully built life began to burn. It started 3 months earlier, on the first day of fall semester at the University of Texas at Austin. Ethan Brooks had driven down from my small town in Oklahoma, with my dad's lectures still ringing in my ears. Stay focused. Honor God. Find a good Christian girl and build the life we raised you for. I was 20 years old, a business major on scholarship, and determined to make them proud. I found my assigned seat in the middle of the tiered lecture hall and set up my laptop. The guy who dropped into the chair beside me had messy light brown hair, a faded band tee, and a smirk that looked permanent. Jordan Hale, he introduced himself, extending a hand. Looks like fate made us desk mates, Ethan. Hope you can keep up. I shook his hand once and let go. Ethan. And I planned to focus on the material, not chat. He laughed like I had told the funniest joke. Serious type. This is going to be interesting. From day one, Jordan was relentless. He whispered sarcastic commentary during lectures, doodled absurd cartoons on the corner of my notes, and asked questions that made the professor pause. Every time I told him to quiet down, he would lean closer and say, "Come on, live a little, Brooks. College is not supposed to be a monastery." We were paired together for the semester-long project on family dynamics and personal identity. The first group meeting in the library was pure friction. I wanted to focus on traditional family structures and stability. Jordan pushed for including LGBTQ experiences and the damage caused by rejection. "Why do you fight this topic so hard?" he asked after I shot down his third suggestion. "Because not everything needs to revolve around that," I snapped. "Some people just want normal lives." His eyes narrowed, but he did not push further that day. We divided the work and left on tense terms. Walking back to my dorm, I called my mom. "How is the new semester, honey?" she asked, her voice warm like always. "Fine, Mom. Got a project partner who is a bit much, but I will handle it." "Just keep your priorities straight," she said. "Your father worries about the influences down there." Her words sat heavy in my chest. That night I lay awake staring at the ceiling, wondering why Jordan's laugh kept echoing in my head, and why it made me feel both irritated and strangely alive. The next few weeks followed the same pattern. Jordan would arrive at our study sessions with coffee and wild ideas. I would shoot them down, and we would argue until we found middle ground. He told me pieces of his story in passing. Came out at 16. Parents in California gave him the silent treatment for months before cutting financial support. He worked 2 jobs to stay in school. I listened but kept my own walls high. One afternoon, after a particularly heated debate, he looked at me across the table and said, "You know, Ethan, for someone who claims to have it all figured out, you seem pretty uncomfortable when the conversation gets real." "I am not uncomfortable," I lied. "I just do not see why we have to make everything about identity politics." He smiled sadly. "One day you might understand that identity is not politics for some of us. It is survival." I left the library angry at him and even angrier at myself, because a small part of me knew he was right. That night I went on a date with Sarah, a girl from my business ethics class. She was sweet, funny, and exactly the kind of person my parents would approve of. We kissed goodnight, and I felt nothing but guilt. When I mentioned the date to Jordan the next day in class, his usual smirk faltered for half a second before he recovered. "Good for you, man," he said. "Hope she makes you happy." Something in his tone made my stomach twist, but I pushed it down. This was the path I was supposed to walk. Jordan was just the annoying desk mate who happened to sit next to me. Nothing more. Our project meetings grew longer, and the arguments turned into actual conversations. Jordan had a way of asking questions that slipped past my defenses. One evening after the library closed, we ended up at a quiet campus cafe talking about the paper until midnight. "You ever feel like you are performing for your family?" he asked, stirring his drink. "All the time," I admitted before I could stop myself. "They have this picture of who I am supposed to be. Straight, a student, future husband, provider. Any crack in that picture feels like failure." Jordan nodded slowly. "I used to perform too. Then I realized the performance was killing me. Coming out was the hardest thing I ever did, but it was also the first time I breathed. I stared at my hands. My family would never understand. My dad is a deacon. My mom teaches Sunday school. If they knew what Ethan, he asked gently. Nothing, I said quickly. Forget it. He did not forget. Over the next weeks, he shared more of his life. The bullying in high school, the friends who disappeared, the nights he slept in his car after his parents changed the locks. I found myself opening up too. The pressure to be perfect. The fear that I would never measure up. The way I sometimes felt like an imposter in my own skin. One weekend my parents drove down for a surprise visit. Dad took one look at the rainbow flags on campus and frowned. "This place is changing you, son," he said over dinner. "I see it in your eyes. You need to stay grounded." I assured him everything was fine. Later that night Jordan saw me sitting alone on a bench outside the dorms. "Rough visit?" he asked, sitting beside me without invitation. "They mean well," I said. "They just want what is best." "Best for who?" he countered. "You or their image of you?" I did not answer. Instead I changed the subject to the project. We worked late again, and for the first time I laughed at one of his stupid jokes. The sound surprised both of us. To prove to myself and everyone else that I was on the right path, I asked Sarah to be my girlfriend. She said yes. We held hands around campus and posted couple pictures. Jordan saw the photos on my phone during a study session and went quiet. "You look happy," he said finally. I lied. He nodded, but the sparkle in his eyes dimmed. Our project progressed, and we started spending more time together outside of class. He dragged me to an art exhibit. I took him to a business networking event. We argued less and listened more. The annoyance I once felt began to shift into something warmer and far more dangerous. Late one night, after finishing a draft of our paper, Jordan walked me back to my dorm. The campus was quiet. "Thanks for tonight," he said, stopping under a streetlight. "You are not as uptight as you pretend to be, Brooks. And you are not as annoying as I thought," I replied. He smiled, and for a second I thought he might say something more. Instead he just squeezed my shoulder and walked away. I stood there feeling the ghost of his touch and wondering why my heart would not slow down. The turning point came during a late-night work session in Jordan's off-campus apartment. We had been arguing about the conclusion of our paper when he suddenly went quiet. "You know, my family still does not talk to me," he said, staring at the floor. 3 years and not a single call on my birthday. I did not know what to say, so I just listened. He told me about the last fight, the words his father had thrown at him, the door slamming behind him. When he finished, there were tears in his eyes. I reached out without thinking and put my hand on his arm. "You are stronger than they know," I said. He looked up at me, and the air between us changed. "Ethan," he whispered. I pulled my hand back like I had been burned. I should go. He did not stop me, but the look on his face stayed with me for days. After that, I threw myself into the relationship with Sarah. We went to football games and studied together. My parents were thrilled when I told them. "See, son," Dad said on the phone. "This is the right path." But every time I saw Jordan in class, the lie felt heavier. He was polite, distant, and professional. The easy banter was gone. It hurt more than I expected. One evening Sarah canceled our plans, and I ended up at the library alone. Jordan was there working on something else. We sat at the same table by habit. The silence was unbearable. "I miss talking to you," I admitted finally. He looked surprised. "Then why did you pull away that night?" "Because I am scared," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "Scared of what it means if I admit what I feel when I am around you." Jordan's expression softened. "You do not have to figure it all out tonight, Ethan. But you cannot keep running from it either." We talked for hours. He told me about his first real relationship and how it had ended in heartbreak. I told him about the nights I had prayed for these feelings to go away. When we finally left the library, the sky was turning pink with dawn. Outside my dorm, he stopped me. "Whatever you decide, I am here. No pressure." I nodded and went inside, but sleep would not come. For the first time, I let myself imagine a life where I did not have to hide. The thought terrified me and thrilled me at the same time. The kiss happened 2 weeks later. We were celebrating finishing the final draft of our paper at Jordan's apartment. Music played low. We had both had a beer. The conversation turned deep again, and somewhere in the middle of it, Jordan looked at me and said, "I think I am falling for you, Ethan." My heart stopped. Before I could overthink it, I closed the distance and kissed him. It was soft at first, then deeper. All the months of tension and denial poured out in that moment. When we pulled apart, we were both breathing hard. "I have wanted to do that for so long," he whispered. "Me too," I admitted, and it felt like the truest thing I had ever said. We spent the next days in a secret bubble. Stolen kisses between classes, late-night talks, and quiet moments where the world felt right. I told Sarah the truth gently. She was hurt but understanding. Jordan and I agreed to keep things quiet until we figured out how to tell people. But secrets have a way of cracking. During a study group, one of my roommates saw us leaving Jordan's apartment holding hands. He did not say anything at first, but the looks he gave me grew colder. Then came parents' weekend again. My dad called the night before. "We are bringing the pastor with us, son. He wants to pray over your future." Panicked. When Jordan asked if I was okay, I snapped at him for the first time in weeks. "Maybe we are moving too fast. Maybe this was a mistake." His face fell. "So that is how it is. One hint of real life and you run back to your safe little closet." "I am not running," I lied. "I just need time." He nodded, but the hurt in his eyes was clear. We argued. I said things I regret. Words about how he did not understand the pressure I was under. He accused me of using him to experiment. The fight ended with him telling me to leave. I went back to my dorm feeling sick. That night, my roommate confronted me. "I know what is going on, Ethan. And I think your parents should know too." The betrayal came fast. My parents received a message from my roommate with screenshots of texts between Jordan and me. They drove down the next day unannounced. The confrontation in my dorm room was brutal. "Is this true?" my dad demanded, his face red. "Are you involved with that boy?" I froze. Years of conditioning kicked in. "It was nothing, Dad. Just confusion. I am fixing it." My mom cried. "We raised you better than this." They demanded I cut all contact with Jordan. They threatened to stop paying for my apartment and part of my tuition. The pastor prayed over me right there in the room. I agreed to everything because the fear of losing them was bigger than anything else in that moment. I found Jordan after they left. He was waiting outside the sociology building. "We need to talk," I said. He already knew. "Your roommate told half the floor. Word travels fast." "I am sorry," I said. "I cannot do this right now. My family." "Your family," Jordan repeated, his voice breaking. "So you choose them over what we have? Over me?" "It is not that simple." "It is exactly that simple," he said. "I have been through this before, Ethan. I will not be someone's secret again." He walked away and I let him. The next weeks were hell. I threw myself into classes and pretended everything was fine. Sarah tried to be a friend, but the distance grew. Jordan sat beside me in class again, but we did not speak. The project presentation happened and we delivered it professionally. The class applauded, but I felt nothing. At night, I replayed every moment. The kiss, the laughter, the way he looked at me like I was worth fighting for. The guilt ate me alive. My parents called every day to check on me. I told them what they wanted to hear, but inside I was breaking. One afternoon, I saw Jordan across the quad laughing with friends. The sight hit me like a punch. I realized I had made the wrong choice. The safe one, but the wrong one. I drove to Oklahoma that weekend and sat down with my parents. The conversation was the hardest of my life. I told them the truth. I am gay. I am in love with Jordan. And I cannot keep pretending anymore. My dad stood up, his voice shaking with anger. "Then you are choosing that life over this family." "I am choosing to be honest," I said, tears running down my face. "I love you both, but I cannot live a lie. The cost is too high." My mom sobbed but did not speak. They asked me to leave the house. I drove back to Austin that same night, feeling hollow and free at the same time. Jordan did not answer my calls at first. I showed up at his apartment with the courage I should have had months earlier. He opened the door looking exhausted. "I was wrong," I said. "I hurt you because I was scared. But I am not scared anymore. I choose you, even if it means losing everything else." He stared at me for a long moment, then pulled me inside. We talked through the night. He told me about the pain of my rejection. I told him about the confrontation with my family. We cried and held each other and slowly began to rebuild. The months that followed were not easy. My parents cut financial support. I took extra shifts at a campus job to stay in school. Some friends distanced themselves. But Jordan was there. We faced the gossip together. We finished the semester stronger. Graduation is still years away, but we are building something real. My relationship with my family is strained, but there are small cracks of hope. A text from my mom on my birthday. Card from my sister. Looking back at the guy who once found Jordan Hale the most annoying person on campus, I can hardly believe where we ended up. The desk mate I fought with became the man who taught me to fight for myself. Was choosing love over the family that raised me the right decision or the most selfish mistake I will ever make?